Hello, people with internet access. My name is Ross Burns, and this is Burns Eye View. This is the channel dedicated to interacting with Western culture with the biblical worldview, trying to give a biblical Christian response to Western culture. Right? And this is actually the first video of the channel. It's a video just kind of dedicated to explaining who I am, where I came from, how an agnostic turned into a Christian, a conservative Christian at that. So I grew up in a probably nominally religious, nominally Christian home, where devotion to God was not particularly important. It was expected, but not, not of particular importance. Particular personal conviction was not necessarily important. So, but I grew up mostly familiar with Christianity as I understood it, which was not great. But when I was a teenager, I discarded any idea of Christianity, which was mostly a fundamentalist, moralistic sort of worldview that I had, that you would do good things and that God would bless you. Discarded all of that when I became a teenager. When I started reading literature myself, and I started questioning things, right? I had questions that did not receive adequate answers, so I went elsewhere, right? When I was a teenager, I would have described myself mostly as an agnostic, mostly as someone who would have said, you can't know if God exists. You can't know what ultimate reality actually is. You can't know what's ultimately good, right? These questions are unattainable from us. From a human perspective, we can't give ultimate answers to these things. Whether that makes me an atheist or an agnostic, I'm not quite sure, but I always considered myself an agnostic, someone who says that knowledge is not possible, agnosis, right? Agnostic. So in my late teenage years, when I was probably 18 or 19, I became particularly interested in a young lady who would spend time with me if I went to church on Sunday. That was the rub, and I did that because I was very interested in her. She was a lovely, lovely young woman, and as I attended church, I was not thoroughly impressed with the message that was offered to us. It was just not a very attractive message. But what was communicated clearly is what a good moral life might look like. And I knew that I was not living a good moral life by their standards, by anyone's standards, and certainly not by my own moral standards. I was living selfishly. I was thoroughly using pornography, let's say. I was not really caring about other people very much. I was just doing so many awful things that maybe are better left imagined than explained. And this kind of moralistic preaching that I heard at church was certainly enough for me to look at my own worldview a little bit more carefully. As I looked at my own worldview a little bit more carefully, I began to wonder about things and to question things. Things like, if I say that knowledge about ultimate reality is unattainable, is that statement ultimately true? Right? And consistency started to build up in my own real worldview. I started to question things. I started to wonder if maybe this biblical worldview does have some authenticity to it. Right? If there's something there. If there's something I missed, if I discarded it, not because primarily it didn't make sense, but because I preferred it not to make sense. And it became clear to me as later on in this process, it became more clear to me that really what I was doing was I was pretending that God did not exist. I was pretending that I wasn't accountable to anyone, that I could just do whatever I want, because I preferred to believe that that was true. And so I experienced what Christians usually call repentance. I didn't like the way I was living anymore. I got new passions. I got new desires. didn't want to live that way anymore. I wanted to live a better way, right? I knew that I was missing something in my life, and I believe what I was missing was what the ultimate end and goal of human existence is, which is communion with God. So I began to search for that, and I came to the person of Jesus Christ, as seen in the New Testament. Right? And I read about him, I learned about him, I learned what he came to do, and that really, I thought I knew what Christianity was, but I did not. That changed my perspectives quite greatly. And and I mean, now look at me. As a teenager, I had no motivation, no interest for other people unless it would benefit myself directly. And I have completely different passions and desires. I was a terrible student in high school, and I mean, now I'm in graduate school with a 4.0 GPA. Like, how do you explain that? I don't know. But I went through spiritual metamorphosis, you might say. I went from an agnostic to someone who believes and embraces Christianity as defined by the Bible. I went from someone who believed that ultimate truth was unattainable to someone who believed that revelation from God was the only way that true knowledge could be possessed. I went from someone who loved selfishness and his own sin to someone who lives to bring glory to Jesus of Nazareth. I mean, that's a 180, right? And I believe that the best explanation for this change in my own life, for the change that I've seen in other people's lives, for the message and the history of the Christian movement, is its authenticity. So that's what this channel is dedicated to. It's to helping people who are trying to grapple with the correct interpretation of reality. Trying to help people by offering the answers and perspectives that I have adopted, right? It's what I believe to be a biblical worldview. I want to offer those answers and those perspectives to Western culture, right? To people who are struggling with what is real, right? Who are questioning those kinds of things. That's what this channel is about. And I'm committed to putting new content out every week. So please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, right, so you'll know when I'm making new videos. I'm committed to not only putting out short videos like this, well under 10 minutes, hopefully more around 5 minutes, but I'm also committed to engaging with other people on YouTube who are also doing these kinds of things, but from different perspectives. I would love to hear from people in the comment section who have a different perspective, who maybe don't think that the biblical worldview was all that great. I would love to hear from you. You can follow me on Twitter or Facebook page, or even hit me up on email and engage with me there. I would love to hear from you. This is the kind of thing I really enjoy doing. So with that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day.